Hey guys, we're back. We're back again, and the dinosaur story. Anyways, in all seriousness, we're M.I.Diverse. We try to stay on subject. We really do. And this week, we're talking about. This is more of a question than anything. Do artists slash fan artists and the like, do we really own our own art? I mean, Jen and John, I'm sure we've all done our own like share of like art and fan art in our like time of being artists in a way. But it's like in technicality, I think like what I think we actually had we've seen a conversation about this, or like one of us like said this like in an offshoot in a text a little while ago. Technically, a lot of fan art is illegal, but it's just free marketing. I don't know. You guys can go into it.
Yeah, as Dryw stated right off the bat, that fan art is technically illegal, since it is in a way infringing on an artist or company's copyright of a character or characters that they own. So in some capacity, companies are within their right to take down something if it is like incriminating or whatever. However, it should also be noted that the copyright laws still have not updated fully to accommodate the digital age and the way that information flows through the internet, and how quickly and how much it can spread. So the way big companies like Nintendo and Disney use them is like a battering ram to literally anything. And it's like, not to mention that the public domain, the thing where like after a certain point, a copyright of a story enters public domain, which means anyone can use it. It's like that thing's practically non-existent because Disney ruined the copyright laws just because they were so afraid of someone else using their mouse mascot.
Yeah.
And also it's not even, sometimes it's not even just copyright, it's also trademark protection. And trademark is mostly seen with words and names from what I've seen, since they are required to enforce trademarks from unauthorized uses, or they could lose those trademarks. But again, the way some big companies enforce it is very excessive and unnecessary. And part of the reason why it is excessive is because it's not really the word itself that's trademarked, because legally they can't copyright or trademark something like a concept or a word by itself. Like it has to be the execution of that idea. But the way that these companies use trademark and copyright, they seem to just go after anything that has the name or the word in it.
Yeah. It's kind of like I was gonna say it's kind of a shaky road there too, because John said this before we started recording, and he can go a little bit further into it. But John, you mentioned earlier about, you did a fan art of a specific actress playing Snow White, and that kind of really poses a question to me of like, technically, does the art still technically like belong to John, or does that belong to Disney because it's a Snow White thing, or does it belong to the actress because it's it's art of the actress? You know what I mean, Jen?
Yeah, I think when it comes to, I just want to make one thing clear, is that I don't mind fan art as like a practice thing. I don't mind if someone does fan art as a commission. Here's how I feel about when it comes to doing fan art.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing it for yourself and you're not selling it, okay, great, because you love the thing. Okay, great, that's cool. If you're doing it as a commission for somebody, saying like, oh, well, they see that, like, for example, if I have a table, I remember someone did ask me when I did my first tabling at a small, like, comics and toy convention thing, that they asked me if I had any artwork of Monster High. Obviously, I didn't. I had no Monster High. I had nothing about that artwork. But if they wanted me to commission it, I probably would have commissioned it. Unfortunately, that day I came down, for some reason that day I came down with laryngitis and I could not literally speak. So I'm literally going to this con where I couldn't speak. But that's for another story. Anyhow, so if you're doing it for what you love, if you're doing it for a commission, or you're just doing it because, like, again, you just care about it, then that's great. And if you're doing it for practice, that's great too. But you got to be careful. And I really, really wish I kind of wish some people would kind of stop relying on fan art. Because, I mean, I was literally talking to someone at a art group that I'm part of. And I was talking to the art teacher about this. And I said, how many of these people at cons actually have the rights to these characters? How many do they actually have?
Yeah.
Probably 0 to none, if I'm really going to be honest with you. Probably 0 to none. I'm not going to out anybody or nobody about the situation. But again, you have to be careful where you are going to be selling this stuff. Now, obviously, there's another option, which Redbubble has now opened. FYI, everybody, I have a Redbubble page, so all that jazz, fun jazz. Anyway, Redbubble has started a program where you can draw fan art, and when you sell something of the fan art on Redbubble, you get a proportion, and the company gets a proportion of that art for that art being made on the product. So I give Redbubble points in giving a new avenue for fan art. But the problem is it, again, you can only do Netflix things, you can't do other stuff. So now when it comes to open domain stuff, for example, I like drawing my own version of fairy tale characters. So obviously I'm not going to draw my version of Sleeping Beauty looking like Princess Aurora from Disney Sleeping Beauty. Obviously, I like drawing Aurora from the Disney animated movie as practice, but I can't sell the fan art of Princess Aurora from Disney. I can only sell a print of my own version of Sleeping Beauty, which looks nothing like the Disney version. Sorry, I ramble.
No, it's okay. That's a really good comparison, because you see a lot of booths at conventions where, say, you have, I hate to say it, but like nostalgia slop, like on like huge walls of artboards, and it's just like He-Man, Naruto, like 70 different other like projects or whatever. And it really kind of begs the question is like, how much profit does the artist get off of this compared to like, do they have to give back to like the original like copyright owner? Go ahead, Jenna.
But then I would also make a counter to that, because then it begs the question of then how does the community foster without something like fan creation? Because fan creation, I would argue, is one of the most essential aspects of a community. Like people coming together and expressing their love of something, and they want to share that. I mean, sure, they could probably express that through like other means, like, buying official merch or whatever, like engaging with the official source material. But I also don't want to completely restrict fan creation, because it really is just people wanting to express their love of something. They want to, and they want to share that love with other people.
And I have no problem with that. I think that's great. It's just a matter of, does that person have the rights to sell this product at a Comic-Con, yes or no? And you have to be careful on that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah. And I think it really depends on the company and franchise that you're gonna make fan work of, because some of them don't mind fan art being sold either digitally, because it's free publicity and it helps foster communities that revolve around their particular work. And they only really go after artists if the work is offensive or they want to protect the identity and image of a character. like a NSFW pictures of a child-oriented character.
Yeah.
It's like you don't want that. You don't want that damaging the brand image, that sort of thing. That
Yeah.
seems pretty obvious. And then
I-
there are some and
No,
then
go
there
ahead.
are some companies and creators that have created guidelines for what people can and can't do when creating and selling fan art. Although I've heard that is quite rare. Not a lot of creators and companies do that. And some won't take down stuff until much later, even when there's like a huge like I guess they won't take down some stuff until later, or if someone gets too big. And I think that's where, and then, like I say, there are some companies like Disney and Nintendo and Paramount and Warner Bros. All those
A24.
companies. Well, I don't know if A20. Well, let me explain. Who aggressively, who are very aggressive with almost any fan work, even those of small businesses. Almost like they view any fan works as a threat, despite the fact that realistically, selling a $5 keychain or sticker of an existing character at a convention is not going to put a dent into these multi-billion-dollar corporations. It's like in those cases, they don't view their copyright of their property as something to cherish. They view them as missiles to target at anyone because they feel like it.
I was going to say, and the reason I mentioned A24 is because this is something that kind of happened recently, which is kind of, in a way, it's a bit of a retroactive issue. So obviously the Backrooms movie came out, right? And this was back in 2019 when the Backrooms became like a whole thing as a creepypasta or ARG or whatever they call it. And
like analog horror,
yes. And now that it's a feature length movie, a very very well respected feature length movie, apparently A24 is going after artists for something that was done years before the movie, which is like, what kind of that's another good question of like, okay, but if the fan art was done years before the movie, do the artists even still have like their own like copyright or like their own there's something kind of messed up about that. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, that's definitely very, very weird and excessive.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
We might be going through a kind of similar scenario in like a year, by the end of next year. I don't know if you've heard of a little movie coming out next year called The Hunt for Gollum.
Yeah.
No, anybody heard of this movie?
I think I heard about it.
Okay. So, about 15, 16 years ago, there was a fan-made movie, a fan-made Lord of the Rings movie called The Hunt for Gollum.
Oh.
So, makes me wonder what's going to happen when they end up in court.
Yeah,
Who's going to win? Who's going to win? I want to know.
I wonder if it's going to be the fan art, like the fan work, or I assume it's probably going to be WB, obviously, but just because of how much money they have.
Yeah, because they have so much money.
Yeah, but like I was going to more jokingly say it's like He-Man did so terrible in like the theaters, but like when you actually go online and look at all the fan art and everything for this movie, like you wouldn't think that the movie did like it flopped in the box office. It's like it's free publicity for the dang movie. Go ahead, Jen.
I will say regarding this Hunt for Gollum movie, let me tell you, if I made a fan-made movie and 16, 17 years later, they decide to make a big production movie out of my idea, I'd be pretty darn upset.
Oh, I would be too. I would be too, especially like
I'd be like, did they just steal my idea there? Did they just steal my concept?
Yeah.
The fact it's the same title. It's the same concept of the same plot and the same title. So yeah, I'd be pretty darn mad.
And this is a thing I kind of have witnessed with like people I've been on like servers with, is that somebody made a fan art design or concept for a character, and God, I try not to remember it too much, but this was back in 2018. The show was just getting off the ground. And, I don't think this person ever really published their fan arts out there. This is still kind of in the subject of it, but they were getting mad because the show basically had the same concept. And he was going on about, they're stealing my concept. They're stealing my concept. It's like, well, you never put the concept out there to begin with. So how can they steal your concept? That's another thing. Or if he did, it's like, okay, well, this is a Japanese TV show you're making fan art of. I have high doubts that they're actually going to outright steal from like an American dude or a Canadian dude from across the pond. Like, if we're going to be realistic here.
Yeah.
So,
like, especially if it's like you didn't even publish it, and I mean, and I even like hear this with like, I even like heard a case with like a literature with books. Like there was this one series, like I forget what it was called, but one of the books in the series is called Coven.
but I feel like, some fans just have like common interests that kind of just blend together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's the same thing with like, authors, creators of like, and this is why I'm very hesitant when people claim that this author or this director or whoever stole their idea, stole their concept, when it's like, well, the problem is and we could probably talk about this in another episode in oral day, but it's like, oh no, I'm losing my train of thought. Oh no, I almost had it.
But I think I get what you're getting at, because it's like,
yeah, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I just found my idea again.
You
it's
found
like,
your idea, so it was good. That's good.
Yeah, it's like, if nothing really is truly original anymore, and
yeah,
sometimes when you are a creator, and it's like sometimes ideas just overlap because things just come naturally to people, and sometimes they just don't come from things that they probably didn't saw this one person and thought, oh, I wanted that idea. It's like sometimes they probably got it from somewhere else, because it's just, some ideas really are just that universal.
Yeah, just a common idea.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just natural in like some forms of art, is that you get some artists that just have a similar art style too. But you can't necessarily, I mean, obviously there's some cases where people are like literally swiping people's art, but like some people can't get mad at other people for having a similar art style, because sometimes people are just all lifting from another source. Anyway, it's like, this is just an example. This isn't like the example. Like, say you have somebody that does Dragon Ball fan art, and then somebody else says, hey, you're copying my exact style to a T. It's like, well, we're both doing fan art of this series. It technically, we both don't, neither of us own this like IP. So why is it a problem that my style is similar to yours?
Yeah.
So.
And I think it also, like, actually, just to go back to the conversation a bit, when it comes to like copyright and trademark, I think it also depends on the country.
Yeah.
Like, I heard that Japan has little to no fair use laws.
I don't think so.
Like, and yeah, it's like, and while that might be true to some extent, maybe, but I mean, I don't know.
I've heard that I've heard some of them are cracking down a little bit, but I think it's like very slim to none.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean that they don't allow fan works, because they do. They allow them under, it seems like they allow them under certain circumstances. Yeah. Because there's actually this not-for-profit volunteer-run convention in Japan called Comiket, which is a combination of comic and market, where fans can sell their fan manga and fan work.
Yeah, I've heard of Comiket. I've seen like footage of Comiket where they sell a lot of doujins and all that kind of stuff. Doujin is basically like a fan manga and all that kind of stuff for people listening at home, or a fan comic. And you get a lot of stuff that is quite literally copyright infringing. And yeah, Japan's copyrights are very loose because you have some, to say it a little bit nicely, illicit materials that are very copyright infringing, like teetering on copyright infringement, that skirt their way around it. But like, if you look at the cover, I'm just saying, you have somebody that is in a Power Ranger or Sentai suit. It looks like it'd be like a Sentai thing on the cover, but then you actually go into it and it's like something else entirely. And that's kind of like a step board to another conversation, is like bad faith fan art, because you kind of mentioned that, right, Jenna?
I get like, I don't know if I mentioned anything like
Directly,
specifically, nothing, anything directly.
because I think there was there was a lot of backlash for it, but they did there was a Spider-Man fan movie where it turned out the guy who played Spider-Man was kind of a jerk, and they took the whole thing down because of it. And I feel like that's really sometimes where the copyright owners really want to step in, is if it's necessarily bad publicity.
Oh yeah, I did mention something like that. It's like that's where like, because this whole thing really teeters on like there's the legal side and then there's the ethical side.
Yeah.
Because, we artists sometimes, we get emotional of our creations, and we feel like we have to be protective of our creations. They're like our babies to us to an extent. But at the same time, we've kind of adopted them, and they're technically not our babies.
Yeah, because go ahead, John. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, that is true. But also it kind of makes me wonder how, like, when someone does a fan art of a musician or something like that, obviously that's probably a whole different thing, like area to talk about, because obviously, the singers are still alive, and some of them are, some of them aren't, unfortunately. And it kind of makes me wonder because, I know there's some people who draw like fan art, like of like Chappell Roan and Taylor Swift and, Benson Boone and all these other artists. And it kind of makes me wonder about the same kind of issue again. Like, are these people allowed? Should these people be even allowed to sell our fan art of this stuff?
Yeah.
Because, doing
Or
something of a character, drawing something of like a fictional character that is already owned, or any sort of type of thing like that, it kind of makes me wonder, because obviously that's different. Fictional movie, animated movie characters, totally different story than an actual, singing person who's a singer.
So I double checked it. And so it's a lot of this is the fair use copyright law. So it basically permits limited unlicensed use of copyrighted art for purposes like commentary, criticism, or parody. And it's decided on a case-by-case basis using 4 specific factors. And then Section 107. I think that's kind of why, like, when we do, like, certain, like, when we talk about, like, say we're talking about when we did the SpongeBob episode, we kind of were able to do that because it was like more of a commentary type thing. It was also talking with the guy who put a Plankton, and we haven't like gotten a CAD or whatever from Viacom or whatever.
But I think also another factor is that we're just too small right now to really be noticed.
That too. I just mean like in general, because it's not entirely trying to say that this is a product that is this show, and it's like we are profiting from it. This is obviously purely hypothetical. If we were trying to say that we were doing a SpongeBob product and this is official SpongeBob product, we're saying that out loud, then Viacom will get on our butts. But if we're doing it to say it's like parody or commentary or criticism, then obviously they're like, okay, well, this is more of a criticism or commentary on it than like actually the actual product.
Well, I find it funny how you mentioned that, because I've definitely heard of it. The word is like word is on the internet that Viacom will literally go after like a nanosecond clip of SpongeBob.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like you can't even like breathe in like SpongeBob's voice or whatever because they'll be like are you using SpongeBob on your channel? So, I obviously it's all just kind of in hypothetics. So, there is one other thing. Well, John, were you raising your hand?
No,
Or,
I think that I have one thing to say
no, go ahead,
about
go ahead. Because
I do have one thing to say lastly about this Hunt for Gollum movie. I have one last thing to say. You know how I describe the situation for this movie? You know how I describe it in one word? I described this whole situation in one word. Desperation.
I think for a lot of these, to keep the copyright is for one thing, is just trying to keep something in the public image, and so they'll try to adapt a work in a way where instead of just like renewing the copyright or republishing something or whatever, they're like, okay, we have to make a new work or we're going to lose the copyright and we can't make money off of it.
It's like, which is kind of dumb because it's like you can make money off of reruns anyway, or like
Yeah.
resell these things anyway. So it's like, what are you doing?
I think, yeah, we really need to address the elephant in the room, though. It's a very big elephant that's cutting down forests and all that kind of stuff and literally polluting the air is AI, because you have a lot of people, content farms specifically, where like shit, like this is something that's kind of getting brought up and I seen like a thumbnail of it. You guys know about like Elsagate and stuff.
Yeah. I knew about it.
A lot of it's parody work anyway, but I think like a lot of people online would see that kind of stuff. They would look it up. Some people think it's like official like product or whatever, and then it would get really into stuff. And there was a whole big mess. There was a whole lot of cease and desists and everything. And kind of now that we have AI, people are doing stuff similar where they're taking these characters, and because now that they have all this technology that they can basically either replicate something to a T or all this kind of stuff. What I've seen, there was a lot of stuff recently. I don't want to get into the politic part of it, but it's just kind of it's there. There is a lot of franchises that spread messages of unity that unfortunately the people in charge would make posts and use like footage or quotes from these shows as like obviously to spread a message of hate, and they the people that own the original copyright are like, you can't do that. And I think it's just sorry, but that's also part of the thing is when I mentioned about like using these IPs for negative stuff, I feel like is good grounds for a lot of these like companies to kind of put their foot down and say, "Hey, you can't use that." But
Yeah. It's
I
like no,
got
no, it's like it's a good point because it's like how about you actually use your money wisely? If you're going to be going after people, go after the people that are actually being harmful with your work instead of
yes,
just going after anyone that you just happen to see on your social media posts or something.
yeah, because you also have people making fan art of like these things. Maybe put that in post. Some of these things where they're just like AI generating it and then they're selling it for a much higher profit, and they're marketing it as the either official work or their own work. And it's like, what does that mean for not only like the actual copyright owner, but like fan artists in general? When people who just want a quick buck can make something off of that. Honestly, like, and I'm sorry to say, I'm rooting for the company that owns the copyright in that kind of sense or whatever, because I don't want some dude that only like generates prompts on their computer to make more money than somebody who worked hard and like put their blood, sweat, and tears into a fan art. Then maybe that's just me. No, go ahead, John. Go ahead, John.
I definitely have something to say in this regard. Is that I was watching a YouTube video, literally about this topic, about like, people are just. It's so unfortunate that these quote unquote these AI fan art things are. This is the problem of why they are taking over the spaces.
Mm-hmm.
This is why when Comic-Cons really need to step it up to say, not only do we want a portfolio from you, but we want a process video from you. If all you do is you show them that you do the work, this is my work, this is my process, you might have a chance to get a table at a con.
Yeah, so. And I think I heard that that's something they wanted to implement recently, but I'm not 100% sure. I was going to say
do it soon.
I hate to say it, but all I can think of right now is if you guys have seen the meme, it's of General Husk from, I think it's The Last Jedi saying, I don't care if X loses or wins, I just want Y to lose. And I think if I were to make one, I think I'm going to put it up on the screen is, I don't care if big corporations win, I just want AI to lose. I'm so sick of seeing all like this AI slop of like big corporation, like of stuff that would be like fan art of very, all this stuff I love. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And but aren't these like conventions like very volunteer run? Because I'm thinking about how like, well, I feel like the problem is because with something like AI, there's just going to be too many people. And that's one of the reasons why, like, especially if it's in a digital space, it's like there's just, I imagine they purposefully flood the market because,
100%.
Well, even if some of them get taken down, they still can get money from it.
No, 100%. I mean, like, they're flooding the spaces because it's people that want something quick and something easy, so they can make a profit. And for them, then you just don't have good quality. You don't have like the good quality of it.
Yeah, I think sorry.
No.
I just think at this point, this generative AI technology should just be out of public hands at this point. Just get rid of it.
Honestly, yeah. Like, and I know that it makes me sound a little bit of a hypocrite. I think the most that we need any of this stuff for is, how in Spider-Verse they have some of the characters have the lines on the side of their nose and all that stuff.
Spider-Verse, do you say?
Yes, it's just a example. It's not the core example.
I'm trying to remember exactly what you're talking about because I know I've seen.
So some of the characters have like a little like line art to make them like look pseudo 2D.
Oh yeah.
So that's a basic AI algorithm as an assistive tool, not to replace the whole process, but as an assistive tool. That's, I think, what we should really use any of this stuff for. Not to take like a whole job from all artists. It's like, nobody wants to see a fully AI generated movie because we know what some of this stuff looks like. Like, and we know the implications of this stuff. And there's a lot of moral implications against it. Sorry for people listening at home and you guys I'm talking to. It's kind of turned into a I hate AI conversation, but there's a lot of there's a lot of copyright stuff that goes along with this.
Yeah, because the AI is just stealing stuff from the internet practically, just picking and choosing stuff from the internet. Like, yeah,
quite literally.
Yeah.
And what's even worse is when you think about it, also, it's stealing from fan artists. And that kind of goes back to the question, well, do fan artists own their own art? Especially if some, AI prompt generator dude is like going and using somebody else's art for a basis. It's like, okay, because hypothetically, if my art was used as the basis for this AI generated piece, but my art was a fan art of, say, Pokemon, can I technically say, hey, don't use my art for your AI slop, take that down? Or do they have free use of it because it's a Pokemon fan art? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I
not.
mean, I was just gonna say, like, like, either way, AI is pretty bad because it's stealing from everybody, not just fan works, but also original works.
Oh yeah. What were you gonna say, John?
What I was gonna say. So usually, I don't bring up religion at all in any of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that annoys me is when I see people. Now, I understand there's people who want to, like, they want to share their love for their religious
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, and that's great. Do what you want to do and everything. But when there's pictures of a certain individual who was alive at the time, and you're going to use AI and say, "Oh, I'm just going to use AI to make it look like this," when it looks nothing like the person, and it looks
Mm-hmm.
nothing like the outfit that they wear in their order. It just baffles me. Like, I understand that these people are trying to, they have good heart, but they're just doing it the wrong way.
There's a lot of moral
Mhm.
things to go about that. Obviously, we have a lot of people that are using AI of dead people's likenesses to put words
Oh,
into their mouth, or in the worst case, and this is a case that I hate, is when people AI generate Jesus or God and put their own words or beliefs in the mouth of Jesus or God.
oh yeah, that's a
Because
problem.
because
That's a problem.
that fundamentally just goes against things. But that's a whole nother
That's a whole nother thing.
that's a whole
It's
nother
like, whoa, we are going on that
that's a whole
again.
nother bag of worms. Bag
Yeah.
of worms, is that the right word? But phrase, but
Can of worms. Can of worms.
that's a whole nother can of worms. But I think,
But
like, in all seriousness, it is a problem. It is a problem because, yes, people could have done the same exact thing with, like, fan art animation, but because it is so quick, it takes samples from a lot of other sources, and it's just there's just so much to it. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But like I said, I hate to sound like I'm being like, stay away from the multi-billion-dollar company. In the case of AI, I'd rather let the multi-billion-dollar company win when it comes to their copyright, as long as they stay away from, like, the little guy, so to speak,
Yeah.
not just some, like.
But unfortunately, these same multi-billion-dollar corporations are more than happy to shell some of their own money towards these AI companies. So we're kind of fricked.
Yeah, yeah. Regardless, it's like, hey, look at everybody else is using this thing, and we're getting paid by the companies and their stocks or whatever to use it, because that's usually what it is anyway. Check this out. We made this thing with entirely AI. It's like, well, at that point, do you guys even own your own stuff if you're using
No,
AI to feed it?
it's like at this point they don't care. They just want money. That's all that matters.
Really, really, honestly, we're getting into the philosophical, geopolitical type
Yeah.
shit here, but I mean, it all kind of blends together because it's a copyright, like, thing. This whole
Yeah.
this whole conversation has to do with copyrights. At the end of the day, who owns what anymore? It's really the question.
Although I do want to end off with some of my thoughts on, like,
Yeah.
artists making fan art, because I've always felt like as long as artists aren't making money from fan work, and even if they are, because I know some people do and they want to make a living somehow, then it has to be in, as long as it's in small quantities, it's in the artist's own original style, that
Mhm.
being it's actually transformative. It's not harmfully offensive or inappropriate. They have to supplement that with original works created by them so
Yes.
that the fan creation is just a side thing that wouldn't overtake the original works. And as long as they aren't claiming to be the copyright owner of the fan work, then I think it's really not that huge of a deal. But
Yeah.
you know, as we've been alluding to, it's like this is just a very gray area, because copyright itself is a very gray area, because there's the, like I said, the legal and there's the ethical side. Because yes, it is illegal to sell fan works, but it also helps foster and build communities of people with the same interests. So it's like, where do you draw the line? And especially in the age of the internet, some companies and creators have chosen to either embrace the chaos or be very restrictive. But I think neither of which sound great long term. So it's like, I mean, yeah. If you're a company and you want to allow fan works, then it's like, yeah, you can absolutely allow fan works. It's just, if you come across something that is objectively offensive or inappropriate to what your brand image is, what the character is or whatever, then yeah, you can take it down if you want. It's just, of course, provide an explanation and all that. But for me personally, I would just sew work of my own designs and characters and such, because it just saves the legal headache for me.
Yeah.
Preach it, girl. Preach it.
Yep.
Preach.
I just want to say before we go, and I really think that also just fan art is a good exercise for your own art. It just fosters actually artistic growth. That's just, I want to say that. I want to actually say that in the beginning, but we kind of got lost in the sauce.
And heck, there have even been times when fan creators actually did get recruited by the studios themselves. Like,
yeah,
I believe the team behind Sonic Mania came from the Sonic gaming community. So it's not like, there are, like I said, it depends on the company and franchise that you're making fan art of. So it's like, yeah, if you're gonna make fan art of something, definitely just keep tabs of what's going on.
Yes, 100%. So, all right. Well, guys, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, share the heck out of this. I'm sure, or we all have the same sentiment about this. Share the heck out of us. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff. Obviously YouTube. Check us out on YouTube. We're also on Twitter. Check us out on Twitter. And please be kind to each other. Be excellent to each other. In fact, you know what? We'll see you guys next week. We're M.I.Diverse. I'm Dryw. That's John. That's Jenna. And just, be good to each other. We'll see you guys next time.
Please be kind. We need more of that in this world.
Yes.
We do.
Have a good one.